I knew this was going to happen the minute I hit save on the podcast. What is up, everybody? It's Joe Ovies. I am back from spring break vacation. Podcast was done. Like, legit, the podcast was done. I hit save on the podcast. I was going to go to the podcast platform. I was going to update on YouTube, and we're going to have a normal show. Me and Dimitri Ravanos today, as Gilio is on assignment. And we were going to get into the UNC coaching search as to like where things stand right now. And in the last 10 minutes, I get the news through my ESPN app on my phone giving me the alert. I knew the minute I hit save and I saw my phone light up and it said Pete Thamel. I said, oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Oh, he dared. Pete Thamel with the breaking news that Mike Malone is going to be the next coach at North Carolina. This tweet, and he's the only one to have it, so it looks like Thamel broke this thing. Props to him. I've been over at Tar Heel 24/7, nothing updated. Inside Carolina, haven't seen anything updated. Matt Norlander and other insiders, I've looked at their timeline, haven't seen anything updated. Thamel says sources, North Carolina intends to hire longtime NBA coach Mike Malone as the school's next basketball coach. Won that championship with Denver, has won 510 games as an NBA head coach. These are topics that we do get into on today's podcast. In relation to where North Carolina is in this coaching search, a humbling experience, I would say. I think that still stands where you had your sights set on some named college coaches and you end up with a wild card. This wild card popped up yesterday, thanks to our friend Brendan Marks at The Athletic. Marks, at the end of his update to the Carolina coaching search, had put in a blurb that Mike Malone was somebody who had picked up steam as a potential candidate for the job. This is the first time we had seen Mike Malone enter this conversation. And I about spit out my deviled egg while enjoying my Easter dinner when I saw that blurb. And turns out we're here. Now, what's the connection? Well, he's got a daughter that plays volleyball. I don't know if that's the reason why you want to bring somebody in. I mean, heck, the last time this happened where you had an NBA guy who had some kid, had their kid at the school, and that was like the connector was Ron Willman as the AD and bringing in Jeff Bzdelik at Wake Forest. We saw how that played out. Now, are Jeff Bzdelik and Mike Malone the same guy? No, I don't think so. I did text with one of my NBA guys who I've known for a very, very long time and I trust. And when I saw the Mike Malone blurb yesterday from Marks, I had texted this person. I was like, so any merit to this? And they said to me, find it hard to believe he'll have any number of NBA jobs to choose from, better jobs that were currently available, especially as an NBA champion. And don't really get the sense that that Mike Malone would want to deal with college kids, right? And the transfer portal and everything else that goes along with it. Unless ... they are seriously committing an insane amount of cash to the basketball program, to modernize, to catch up with where college basketball is. And for Mike Malone to take the job after the person I was talking to was telling me they find it very, very, like there's more of a chance that Billy Donovan would take this gig more so than Mike Malone, this ends up happening. So I'm going to go with what this person told me. They had to have seriously committed cash and modernization to make something like this work. Now, I highlight this when we get into the meat and potatoes conversation about where we go from this, and I'll just go ahead and I'll reiterate myself now to start things off since we're up fresh on things like that. With Tommy Lloyd off the books, and you start getting into the other names that are out there, or at least started getting kicked around, like a Byington at Vanderbilt, or McCollum, or McCaslin, pick whoever else might be on that tier. They're all crapshoots at this point. Even to a certain extent, you can make the argument, maybe even Tommy Lloyd becomes a little bit of a crapshoot at UNC, especially if you don't have everything in alignment. And you're going to hear that word a lot from here on out as it relates to North Carolina. Are they in alignment? And you're certainly taking a chance here with somebody like Mike Malone, because I'm still processing this in real time. I was starting to settle on the idea of a McCollum or a McCaslin or a Byington, in that they've got winning culture behind them and they have won at their various stops. And the question was going to be the way they do things, would it line up and mesh with how North Carolina has always run things, right? Can these two things be married together? At no point did I think that a wild card like Mike Malone would enter the mix and then ultimately, according to Pete Thamel, get the job. Billy Donovan always made sense to me if he was willing to get here when it was time to get here. Because remember, the portal opens up, and this opens up tomorrow. But Billy Donovan made a lot of sense to me. Here's somebody who's occupied both worlds, understands what college basketball is, has played in high-profile situations, has won back-to-back national championships, and understands that a place like North Carolina, it really is NBA light now, just like it's NBA light at Duke, it's NBA light at Michigan, Kansas, Kentucky, all the blue bloods, if you will. Billy could probably thread that needle better than anybody else coming from the NBA coming back to college. I don't know about that with Mike Malone. We shall see. But Billy Donovan always made sense to me. The issue with Billy Donovan was the timing of it all and the reports that we were starting to get that despite the fact that there was mutual interest and that they were putting all their chips on the table for Billy Donovan, he was waiting for the end of the season, the end of the NBA season, the end of the NBA season, which is not until next week. The problem is the portal opens tomorrow. Could you navigate that without a coach? Potentially. But clearly the calendar starting when the calendar is starting had to factor in. Again, I'm just spitballing here. It had to factor in for them to pivot the way that they did to bring in somebody like Mike Malone from Denver. Anyway, I got to gather my thoughts. Something tells me that I'll be back later today with some more on this. Just trying to work some things out here. And I'll just present to you the podcast the way as it was. Because again, we had a lot of other things to get into today. And trust me, you'll be hearing from me later on. Just call it a hunch. Let's podcast alongside Dimitri Ravanos. I'm Joe Ovies, Joe Giglio on assignment today and tomorrow. I was off for spring break.
Sure.
He gets a couple days off. There's birthdays all over the place. But honestly, let's be real before we really get into it. He did not need me last week. He did not need me last week with NC State's job search and Justin Gainey getting the job. And
you mean Jason Gainey?
So I was in St. John.
Yeah.
Kelly and I and the kids stayed at Cinnamon Bay, which is the national park campground. And it's a lovely place. I highly recommend going there if you can. The best part about it is you can't get cell service.
Right.
Like the only time you can see what's going on in the outside world is if you're at the breakfast spot, the dinner spot with their Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. But the minute you walk away from that area, good luck getting cell service. Right. And if you do want actual cell service, you got to go into Cruz Bay or Coral Bay. And even then, why do I want to check my phone when I'm just knocking back Caribs? You know? So as I'm catching up on things Saturday, I am realizing, oh wow, called him Jason. That's unfortunate.
It was rough. Now my family, we sort of used spring break as like a college tour kind of thing. So we were up in New York and Philadelphia. And I have a buddy that works at Philadelphia Public Radio who texted me after, because I wasn't watching the press conference live or anything like that. I just got a text saying, so which is it, Jason or Justin? I was like, wait, what are you talking about? I had to go watch the clip.
No, but all that aside, it was a great week for me not to be there and all this going on. Because I mean, Giglio was absolutely in his wheelhouse.
Of course.
It was a perfect week for Giglio. So it all worked out. Big thanks to Alex Nunley for hanging out. Big thanks to Hayes Permar, Richard. I have to listen to the full Richard Howell. I got to see what Big Rich has to say about some stuff. And I know James filled in for the mailbag.
I saw.
And had a quite the good dissertation on, you know, who's the bigger jerk? LSU, a Will Wade or a Lane Kiffin type situation. So it's all good stuff last week. But speaking of job searches, I feel like the best way to get into what we're starting with is with the good old reliable OG sports phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
This is a call from a 336 that I think sets the tone for this portion of the show.
It is 10 a.m., April 6th, 2026, Monday morning. And I'm going to preface this by saying I still stand by firing Hubert. but the portal opens tomorrow, and we don't have a fucking coach! Where the fuck is our coach? What are you doing? Steve Newmark, Bubba Cunningham, Lee Roberts. What the fuck is going on? Who's going to coach our basketball team? The portal opens tomorrow. Fuck! Golly, son! Get us a coach! Now! Go throw a bag at Marcus Page! If that's what we gotta do, we know he can recruit. Rumor has it he can fucking coach. Good fucking great! Go get a damn coach! Now! Go Heels! Go America!
Like I texted Brownlow.
Yeah.
Because Brownlow's parents are big UNC people.
They certainly are.
So I said, what do your parents think of this UNC search at this point with the, we got to pivot after the Tommy Lloyd thing. And then most recently, Dusty May saying,
yeah.
I'm not doing anything, right? And she just said, look, they weren't thrilled with the Tommy Lloyd thing. They're a little concerned with Billy Donovan's age, but not too much. They would be okay with him. I'm like, oh, okay, that seems a little bit more level-headed compared to the call. And I want to.
I'm sorry, by UNC standards, you cannot be concerned with Billy Donovan's age.
No, you can.
By UNC coaching standards.
No. Especially, you have
Billy Donovan is a spry young man.
And as Andrew Jones at Tar Heel 24/7 pointed out, Bill Belichick and Billy Donovan apparently have, and he highlighted all the ways that would give you some insight in that they actually have a pretty decent relationship. Which, of course, I'm sitting here thinking, well, then hell, we know what's going to happen at Top of the Hill. It's the Bill and Billy show.
Hell yeah, brother.
John Boy and Billy's been retired, but now we got the Bill and Billy
Boy
show.
and Billy.
Yeah, that's how it works. Look.
Tom's Boy and Billy.
I feel like I'm out of practice because I didn't even thank Copiers Plus, right?
Sure.
Shout them out. Copiers-plus.com, print management, document management, everything they need. They got it. It's in the cloud, much like some UNC fans are up in the cloud right now, losing it over this coaching search. Also, big thanks to Empire Properties here in Eford Studios. So I'm all discombobulated coming out of vacation mode. But as I'm re-entering orbit on Saturday, catching up on stuff, knowing Dusty May wasn't coming either.
Yeah.
Like this is before we got the official, like, I'm not talking about any other jobs. And why would he? I mean, for heaven's sake, they're playing for a national championship game tonight. And the Tommy Lloyd thing in hitting up a bunch of people to get some proper context, like, okay, what did I miss? How did this happen? Et cetera, et cetera. It's through no fault of UNC.
No.
With Tommy Lloyd. Like, they gave him the most sweetheart deal where he doesn't even have a boss now. What are you supposed to do in that situation? Because I want to clear this up real quick when it comes to Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. He doesn't have to report to the AD.
Yeah.
That was a big reason why people thought, along with various other factors, the Mark Few, Roy Williams connection and everything else, that Tommy Lloyd would give serious consideration to coming to UNC because he and the athletic director did not get along. This tale is old as time in college sports.
Yeah.
The time to strike with the hot coach is when him and the AD don't see eye to eye. Well, here's your chance. In Arizona, given what he's done in the last 5 years, being in the Final Four, clearly there were serious conversations taking place through back channels that Tommy Lloyd was going to take that UNC job or seriously considering taking that UNC job, because you don't wait until Friday to say, all right, Tommy, so if you didn't technically have a boss, like you didn't have to report to the AD, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
Along with having generational wealth.
Yeah. I mean,
what are you supposed to say?
That AD, and I don't remember what the record situation was, but that AD is the same reason they lost their women's coach last year. Like, this dude is clearly not popular with his most important employees. Right.
So the school's not stupid. They're like, well, fine, man, we'll keep you and then we'll do something else about the AD. And clearly, like, look what happened with LSU and Will Wade. Like, all the people around LSU don't like Will Wade. So they hired a guy who's his boy from McNeese State that he gets to work with. So this is not something that is out of left field. This is not something that in any way, shape, or form reflects poorly on UNC, specific to Tommy Lloyd.
I think one thing that UNC fans, like, I think it is right to panic is even guys that we talk about as would make sense, but have not been officially connected in any way. Mark Byington at Vanderbilt, Nate Oates at Alabama, even they are getting new contracts.
Yes.
And so it's that second and third tier of guys that are drying up that I think really have Tar Heel fans nervous.
Well, so this is where I'm at when it comes to the UNC job right now. They're not at, if we want to tap into other coaching searches in the triangle that did not go the way that the people in charge thought it was going to go.
Okay.
We have not hit Debbie Yao ending up with Mark Gottfried territory.
Sure.
Although I would love to pour some truth serum into a drink with Debbie and get her to talk about like, come on, have you texted Bubba at any point? Like, if you texted Bubba, you're like, it's not so easy when you don't have a Roy Williams just sitting out there and who can be guilted into taking the job because Dean Smith tells him, you better take this freaking job now, dude. It's not so easy now, is it? Right? You mean a coach that you had identified and thought you could get went a little longer in the tournament than you thought they would?
Right.
And they're in the Final Four? Damn. Sucks to be you.
Yes,
like,
indeed.
I know Debbie's just looking at her going, okay.
Sorry, you go ahead.
To wrap the point on why I don't think we're not there yet, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
And hell, we're not even at the Lee Fowler ending up with Sidney Lowe. Okay? Like, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And the reason why I don't think we're there yet
is because there's no picture of Bubba drunk holding a cigar with a little tiny life jacket
hanging out at the lake. Folks, that's a real thing. For the young audience out there, NC State's AD at the time, when he was talking about how he'd lost so much weight during this endless coaching search that resulted in Sidney Lowe taking the job after 6 other people had said no, he was photographed at the lake in a life jacket, just enjoying life. Hey, man, work from anywhere.
You sure?
Work from anywhere. The reason why I don't think we're there yet is because you still have Billy Donovan floating out there. Now, I have thoughts on Billy Donovan we can get to here in a second, but I just want to make sure that people understand that you're not there yet, because if Billy Donovan takes this job, even after the portal opens, you're going to be fine.
Right.
You're going to be fine.
You might have a year setback, but you're going to be fine. There's a coaching search that we just went through that, like, it feels to me exactly like what UNC is going through. It's like, yeah, man, your standards now are a problem. They're not an attraction. Hello, Penn State looking for a football coach.
Yes.
When all that matters in the age of NIL and house money, which is coming in, is do you have the benefactor that can break off the big check when there is somebody like at Michigan, right? With Bryce Underwood, the quarterback, when there is somebody that is transformational, when all that matters is you have that benefactor that can make that happen for you. Mark Cuban with Indiana football.
Yes.
The fact that you are a school that has expectations now, that has a bare minimum of what is acceptable, now is kind of a hindrance to getting your top choice.
Well, you're using football as an example, which I understand because you've got SEC football brain. Totally get it. We just saw this with Kentucky.
Sure.
Who wound up with Mark Pope. Now, the situation at Kentucky was different because the time between Calipari and Kentucky came to its natural end. Okay. Both needed a break from each other.
Yeah.
And John's doing just fine with those benefactors that you talk about. He's got those at Arkansas.
Yeah. Arkansas has those in droves.
He's got big chicken money. Okay. So that works out for Calipari. It gave him a reset and a reboot that he needed.
Yeah.
And it gave Kentucky an opportunity to get the reset and the reboot that they needed. Except what they found out is what you're referring to, and that what North Carolina specifically is going through. In the day and age that we live in, with the portal equalizing things, money and transactional relationships ruling over things like family, why would I put up with that? Right? Why would I put up with not making it to an Elite Eight or a Final Four X amount of years in a row gets pressure on me? I ain't gonna. And then when you throw on top of that, I'm not even talking about the fan perspective anymore. I think this is more important when it comes to North Carolina, and it's something that Luke DeCock wrote about on Sports on Seth Davis's HQ College Basketball HQ website. But it's something that we've talked about on the podcast for months as it relates to North Carolina. And I remember being kind of shouted down back at the ACC tournament when there was discussion about what to do with Hubert Davis. And I said, look, if you want to move on from Hubert Davis, it's perfectly justifiable. And you've had a couple of things that have happened since the ACC tournament that further justify it was probably time to move on. You've got Elliot Cadeau and what he is doing at Michigan hanging over. And not just him, but other players that came through that program who have had good years outside of Carolina with Hubert Davis. And then there was the way he lost and handled himself after the VCU game that led to the, all right, man, it's probably time to move on from Hubert Davis, along with some other things that were in play, refusal to adapt, the struggle over a GM, all these kind of things, right? But I said then, and it stands true today, Carolina's got enough other issues behind the scenes that are institutional problems that would cause anybody to look at it and say, yes, would love to, but I just don't know if it's worth it when I can get what I want at Arizona. If you're Tommy Lloyd, if you're Dusty May and you're on the verge of winning a national championship in Michigan and they got buku bucks, they don't have to worry about money. And I said at the time, you're having a civil war over where you're going to play basketball.
Yeah.
What makes you think that this won't play out when it comes to the most important thing? Who will be coaching this basketball team? And we've seen this play out. Also, the other factor too is, real quick, the other factor is what happens with Bill Belichick in football.
Okay, so
and the money and the allotment of cash and how they're going to get out of that and the infighting that takes place over that. And you want to be there for this crap too?
I mean, I think even how we got to Bill Belichick with football hangs over this, because if you are
even if key people are no longer there, like a John Pryor,
if you are Dusty May, right? Like, and I'm using Dusty May specifically because I don't see how somebody without a tie to Michigan could look at Ann Arbor and Chapel Hill and decide they would rather be in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
Yeah. If you are Dusty May and you see even an inkling of unalignment with UNC, why would you take the phone call?
You would not take that phone call.
No, not at all.
You just said the key word. Alignment.
Yes.
Okay. Alignment is the buzzword. If you're not sick of it by now, you will be sick of it going forward for major college basketball and major college football. Alignment means more than anything else currently in college athletics, more so than your facilities, more so than do I have the right shoes that I can use to recruit and all this other kind of stuff, right? Alignment matters. Instead, what you get with North Carolina and where you kind of bump up to, this could get off the rails, is when you have the Doug Gottliebs of the world throwing shit at the wall about, well, I heard Michael Jordan called Tommy Lloyd. And then that's out there in the ether.
Yeah.
And then Tommy Lloyd on Friday, you get the announcement that he's staying. And while he did clear it up at the press conference that he never received a call from Michael Jordan, understand that once that left and was out there in the open, people were like, damn, not even Michael Jordan can get this guy to UNC. What does that say?
I mean,
even though it never happened.
It never happened.
That stuff matters perception-wise.
But I got to be honest with you, that's not far-fetched. It's not far-fetched to think Jordan would have picked up the phone if they were so in on Tommy Lloyd. And it's not far-fetched to say, yeah, but at the end of the day, if I don't have a boss and my family is happy here, why would I...
Makes no sense.
Why would I do this?
Now, like I said, the potential is there, but I don't think we're going to get to that point, even if they don't land Billy Donovan. Let me explain. First, let's get the Billy Donovan stuff out of the way. I've talked to UNC-connected people. I've talked to industry-connected people, and I've talked to one NBA-connected person who I've known for a very, very long time, and I trust.
Yeah.
Okay? The UNC-connected people, and I had to jot all this stuff down to keep it all straight, so bear with me here. The UNC-connected people continue to say that Billy Donovan and the interest between both parties is real. Okay. But it's trickier because of where they are in the NBA calendar.
Right.
He wants to close out the season. He wants to do an assessment. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on. And obviously that misses the portal. But to what you said earlier.
Assessment. This is what UNC is fighting against with Billy Donovan. He has made the playoffs one time in 8 years in Chicago. He clearly has the best job in the world.
Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. So that's where we are. The NBA makes things tricky. UNC connected people will continue to say, and I believe them, that there is mutual interest there, because that's backed up by the industry people that I've talked to. And they say that, or they've said similar things. The interest is legit. There's mutual interest on both sides. But again, the whole NBA calendar and what Billy has to look at the end is what's kind of complicating things here. Now, the cynic would say, if he really wanted the UNC job, this would be over by now.
Yeah.
This would be over. There would be no need to run to the end of the season. There'd be no assessment.
For people that don't know, the future is bleak in Chicago.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad, which gets us to the NBA guy that I trust. And he continues to tell me, regardless of the directionlessness of Chicago right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Billy Donovan doesn't exactly get along with the general manager either. He just re-upped the contract in 2025.
Right.
The word that continues to be used is the word comfortable.
Yeah, okay? Obviously.
Comfortable. He's like, yeah, Chicago sucks. To your point. They haven't won a playoff game, right? So why would he still be there? Well, the contract makes things comfortable.
Yeah.
And so much so that everybody recognizes it's a Chicago problem and not a Billy Donovan problem.
Right.
So that if somebody else in the NBA wanted to hire him, he would get a job in a heartbeat.
And honestly, this is one of the things that I'm struggling understanding where Billy is at this point, because it was not that long ago that Billy was getting very upset with reporters,
yes,
for suggesting he go back to college.
Well, to that point, and this is again something that has been consistent from the UNC connected people, the industry connected people, and the NBA guy that I talked to, is that the UNC job is the one job that is not beneath him.
Okay.
In the sense of you're taking this very storied, iconic basketball program. So it's not any other job. UNC, this is where the idea that, which I push back on, I think it's stupid when people start going, oh, maybe UNC isn't really a blue blood. No, it is.
It is.
It is a blue blood. Stop it. Like, let's not act like have they fallen off a little bit through some decisions? Of course they have. But let's not start this bullshit that somehow UNC, and I'm not just talking about Jay Williams, by the way, that somehow UNC is not the job you think it is. Oh, no, it still is.
Yeah.
If you check off the boxes that these people want.
Look, we talk about this in football all the time.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is still a blue blood. Now, has it been almost 40 years since they paid that off?
Doesn't
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
You've got the history. You're a blue blood. And I think people like Billy's going to be 60 or is 60?
He is 60.
Is 60. Like, dude, that interlocking NC still means the world to it.
A shit ton to people like that. Now, if he takes that job, I'll go back to what I said. It erases all of this hand-wringing that's taking place out of the last 2 weeks with the UNC, and especially now it's all uptick. I was listening to, I was watching Unsportsmanlike on ESPN this morning. I was trying to get back into my routine, and they're doing the classic, like, we don't really talk about college basketball, but these are all names you recognize, so I'm going to offer up takes, and they're offering up a what about Danny Hurley, or what about Underwood? Like, they're throwing out names, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So and I can see why people are freaking out. Now, if it doesn't work out with Billy Donovan, this is where we start getting into the trickier portion of the conversation.
All right, if it doesn't work out with Donovan, do we skip straight? Are we straight to we're in Sidney Lowe territory?
No. That's what I'm getting at. That's why I'm still, even without Billy Donovan, still not convinced we've gotten into that territory. The reason why I say that is what you've essentially done, if you have gone into crapshoot territory, and it could be argued that any of these coaches end up being a crapshoot.
Oh, of course.
Any of these coaches end up being a crapshoot, right? But in this particular case, you start getting into what's the real difference between a Byington, a McCollum, or a McCaslin?
Yeah.
Pick a okay? Like, it does not matter. At that point, like, what is the true difference between somebody like McCollum at Iowa or McCaslin who's at Texas Tech, right?
Yeah.
They've won at their stops. There's no reason to believe that they can't win at UNC, which gets back to
I think McCaslin's a great coach.
Alignment.
Yeah.
It gets back to the alignment. Is there buy-in? Are you funding it? Are you playing the new modern game? Are you acquiescing to the culture that they want to bring in rather than trying to fit? You're going to be here, but we're going to make you do UNC things.
Yeah.
If that's the case, it doesn't matter who the coach is going to be. But if you allow somebody like a Byington, a McCollum, or a McCaslin to come in, do what they've been doing, but with the benefit of you've got that interlocking NC, you've got Michael Jordan, you've got money, and you have that alignment, then everything should be fine. Again, that's why I don't think it's in panic territory with this stuff. The focus should be on the coach. The focus should be on the administration and the money and whether or not they're going to accept this kind of stuff and get behind whoever it is they're supposed to be getting behind.
I think two of those three guys you mentioned are going to be really tough sells because Vanderbilt has proven we'll throw money at a problem.
They'll throw money
and we'll get really good really fast in every sport.
He also has a $10 million buyout now.
Right.
He recently did that. I believe it's McCollum that I have to go back.
Yes, we talked about this on a group text last night. McCollum's at 4.
McCollum's at 4. McCaslin's at 10.
And McCaslin is like, dude, McCaslin's got Cody, what's his name?
Oh, what, Cody Campbell?
Cody Campbell.
Who's trying to he's beefing with Brett Yormark right now in the Big 12.
Tried to get involved in a triple threat match at WrestleMania for the Big 12.
Like, who really runs this league?
Yeah.
Who really runs this league?
But that's a dude that, you have seen this with every sport at Texas Tech. And I'm not saying that there's not money at UNC and UNC does not put a premium on basketball that these other schools do not. But these guys have seen that their institutions will do that for them.
Now, here's what I would say about Carolina, and I would classify what's happening right now, regardless of how it shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina has, in basketball, the sport that matters, finally hit the humbling experience.
Oh, sure.
That every blue blood program has ever gone through.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally going through the humbling.
Yeah.
Even your beloved Alabama Crimson Tide has had the moments of the humbling.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, when I was in school there from 99 to 03, we had 4 football coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, and at least 2 of those, one went through 4 no's before we got a yes. Mm-hmm. Dennis Franchione. The other one went through 7 no's before we got a yes. And it's funny. A friend of mine at Alabama told me this, and I later confirmed that it was true with David Cutcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
So Saban wanted Cutcliffe as his offensive coordinator when he arrived at Alabama. Cutcliffe went to Alabama, and in fact, he was Bear Bryant's personal guy. Bear Bryant is his protege. It would have been a huge celebration moment for the fan base. Cutcliffe's wife told him it is not normal for fans to know where the offensive coordinator's kids go to school. I am not going to live in a fishbowl.
Whew.
That's what you're dealing with UNC basketball. Maybe not to that level.
I don't think it's that level.
Yeah, maybe not to that level.
I don't think it's that level.
But that is what these guys are measuring against in their mind. And back then, now obviously Cutcliffe did not go to become Nick Saban's offensive coordinator. A year later, he became the head football coach at Duke.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, the argument from the husband, from the coach, was always, yeah, but this place can offer us X, Y, and Z. Well, now everywhere can offer you that same opportunity to win.
Everybody has it. Everybody has it. Now, to put a wrap on this, what would get me to shift the category of humbling to Lee Fowler territory? Okay. Now, mind you, there's a huge...
I was about to say humiliated. I like that we have Lee Fowler territory.
There is a huge gap here. Okay.
Yeah.
A huge gap between humbling. Hey, man, happens to the best of y'all.
Bubba chomping on a cigar.
Ah, shit.
With a too small life vest.
Ah, shit. I give you the update from Brendan Marks, our friend at The Athletic, who we will chat with later in the week. Beyond Donovan, some of the Tar Heels' other remaining candidates, in no particular order, are Vanderbilt's Mark Byington, as we discussed, or Iowa's Ben McCollum, as we discussed, or former Denver Nuggets coach Mike Malone, who is currently at ESPN and a coaching free. I'm sorry, what?
Malone will have his choice of NBA jobs, by the way.
There is that also. How many times do I have to tell people that things in the triangle are funny and they have a way of rhyming over time? People will point out, well, why Mike Malone? Well, you see, Mike Malone has a kid at UNC, and that kid plays volleyball. Where have we heard this before? What ACC school, when hired an NBA guy who also happened to have a kid at said school? Why? That would be Wake Forest. And one Jeff Bzdelik, who gave us this banger.
Our radio people told us that you take away those runs and we outscored them by 19. So
he also famously has a GIF where he's just shaking his head, rubbing his hand over his face, and saying, and I quote, "Fuck me." Okay. That's
kind of the way I feel most times I'm in Winston-Salem, by the way.
You do not want to... Josh Graham's going to fight you. You do not want a Ron Wellman repeat of hiring a Jeff Bzdelik.
Yeah.
Okay?
By the way,
just stop with that. And again, I've also asked around the Mike Malone thing, and it's like, to your point, it was very much a response of,
Well,
he doesn't want to deal with college kids. And 2, yeah, I know things didn't exactly end well after winning a championship of all things.
Exactly.
He'll have any number of jobs in the NBA.
Okay, but here's the other point. And this actually goes to...
The last cycle wasn't good enough for him.
This goes to the the executive order, right, about eligibility.
Yeah.
Until we cut the bullshit and make these kids employees that can be held to contracts, Mike Malone lost that job in Denver, not because he's not a good coach, but because he is an asshole and his players hate him. That is a big problem in college where you're not held to anything and can leave at any time.
Anyway, again, I'm a little scatterbrained for today's show as I'm still going into re-entry mode, which I did want to wrap up how we started things by going backwards before looking forward to tonight. Okay, so I wanted to get the UNC stuff. Yeah, clearly that's the hit of the day. Play the hits, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't necessarily like doing I was out of town for a week, so let me give you my takes from old stuff. But hear me. I think I want you to put on your program director hat, Dimitri, and hear me out on this.
Okay,
because I do think in this particular case, specifically talking about NC State, Will Wade, and specifically talking about John Shire and Duke, it does benefit you to step away from the moment, see how you feel a week later, and see if you still feel the same way. If you were caught up in the emotions of things when they happened in real time.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I absolutely stand by about the week that was 2 weeks ago, it started with one blown 19-point lead. UNC's loss to VCU.
Starts with one.
And then ended with another blown 19-point lead. In between those the symmetrical blown 19-point leads, you had an insane sequence of events that would be worthy of a book on any individual level. On any individual level.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with book 1. You could write a book about the end of the Dean Smith lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I understand there's the McGuire component, but the UNC program you see today is Dean Smith's living legacy. If you wanted to make it like a Grateful Dead-esque, like, hey man, the dead is still there and it's actually like it exists in its all sorts of forms and whatnot. It doesn't need Jerry Garcia. It doesn't need XYZ. It's just this living form of thing. That's Dean Smith with UNC. And it looks like UNC is going to move on from that with the firing of Hubert Davis. That's a big fucking deal.
Huge deal.
Huge deal. Okay. That's its own book.
Mm-hmm.
Then NC State gets conned.
Yeah.
By Will Wade.
Yeah.
That's its own book.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting back to the other blown 19-point lead, the Duke UConn game. That is a moment that will live forever in NCAA tournament lore.
Yeah.
It will, when they do the big lead up montages. I'm not talking about the one singular, one shining moment.
You're dead right.
I am talking about it is going to be there with Jimmy V looking for somebody to hug.
That's Duke fans in that moment had to feel the way I felt in 2013 watching Auburn return that missed field goal. It is not just that we lost in this humiliating way. It is undeniably the best play in the sports history.
You have Christian Laettner one bookend and then it happening to you the other bookend.
1,000%.
Okay? That's its own book.
Yeah.
It all happened in a week. One.
Yeah.
1 week of nonstop. What is happening? Okay.
Hang on, let me just make myself a note to make a remix of Bare Naked Ladies 1 week with all these highlights in it.
Like, this is something that hopefully, if sports talk still exists in 30 years, and they want to do a 30 or a 20th, it's just the 25th anniversary of X, right?
Okay.
In 25 years, that I hope I'm that old timer that whoever some young buck sports talk person is calls me, he's like, hey man, can you talk about the old days? Can you talk about that week? What was that week like? That's what that week was, man.
Yeah.
That's what that week was. I hope people truly appreciate how insane that week was. And that we're going to be talking about that week like we would 83 or Laettner or any number of things that have happened in the Triangle. That was a monumental, historic week in Triangle sports. All right? Which gets me to two individual things from that week. Specifically for Will Wade.
Oh, we're still talking about Will Wade.
I had to get this off my chest.
Yeah, sure.
I had to get this off my chest. Because up front, I'm going to make it about this podcast.
Of course.
I'm going to make it about us. I don't like doing that, but I'm going to make it about us. Okay? Because when I went back and I looked at the clips this weekend, I noticed two things that made me go, huh, okay. The first one was, quote, I'm at peace with how I left. I'm at peace with what we did. They're pretty mad for a coach they didn't think was very good, end quote. Who was mad? Number one, I would argue that nobody was mad. I mean, don't get confused by somebody calling you out on your bullshit for being mad.
Please do not put in the paper
that I got mad. I mean, if anything, maybe there were people who were mad at how we talked about Will Wade in the season.
Right.
Because certainly fans were still behind Will Wade up until you conned them. Okay.
Right.
So who was mad? There's nobody mad. Just getting called out on your BS. There's a difference on that one. And yes, based on the resume to this point, which is, as Giglio highlighted and I put out on social media, you haven't shown that you're a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
You have not shown that. So I'm not worrying about my perception. Clearly you are, because I know that social media clip got in front of you.
Yeah.
And that's why you said what you said.
Yeah.
You're clearly still worried about your perception. Then, and this was the real kicker, he referred to the SEC as a, quote, tough neighborhood. Where do you think he got that?
Yeah. That seems pretty pointed. That's not an accident.
When I saw that clip, my reaction was, we won.
Right.
We won. We won in the sense that in the last 3 years of doing this podcast, we continue to drive the conversation about triangle sports.
Yeah.
You don't need a column in the newspaper. You don't need a radio show. You don't need to be on TV because the platforms are all wide open now.
Mm-hmm.
What you do need is authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing you're going to consistently get from this podcast is authenticity. You might not agree with what we're talking about, but it is authentic. It's coming from an informed place and it's driving the conversation. And if you think I'm full of shit, I give you those two quotes from Will Wade that clearly either he or somebody who handles these things said, you see this shit?
Yeah.
We won. Moving on to Jon Scheyer. I don't need to rehash how social media and the decaying state of legacy media like ESPN has eliminated the ability to have compelling arguments, or more importantly, what I'm focused on here is that multiple things can be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I also don't need to explain the Duke of it all, right? How this impacts the conversation. You can say the rivalry is over, but the actions and moments like this say otherwise. So I don't need to rehash that part. Scheyer, though, having a week to kind of think about it and get away from the moment itself. He has developed in a short amount of time, thanks to back-to-back seasons with future NBA lottery picks and two guys this season in the NBA who are competing for Rookie of the Year between Cooper Flagg and Con Knueppel, and Boozer, who's going to be a lottery pick in this upcoming draft. He has developed a reputation in this short amount of time of choking, or however you want to frame it. You want to say
the guy that pisses away talent.
You want to say you've done the least with the most, like all that stuff. If you want to frame it that way for Jon Scheyer, that is perfectly acceptable in my view now, given the last 2 years alone. Okay, and he's going to have to win a championship for that to go away. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. That's where we are. We are here because of the last 2 seasons, and you're going to win a championship to overcome that. Now, that also happened to Coach K. It took Coach K 11 seasons at Duke before he won a national championship. Roy Williams took 17 seasons over some incredible teams at Kansas and eventually getting to North Carolina before he finally won a national championship. It worked for Dean Smith. Okay. Dean Smith only had 2 national championships.
Right.
And it took him until 1982 to finally win it after he got the job there at Carolina in 1961. Okay. And it also worked for other household names like Rick Pitino. It took Rick Pitino's 14 seasons before winning a national championship. It took Calipari with some of his freaking his crews 20 seasons.
Yeah.
Jim Boeheim took 27 seasons before he won a national championship. But on the flip side, you do have guys like Tom Izzo, right? Like Tom Izzo, it took him 5 seasons to win a national championship. You also have guys like, I'm not going to put, Tom Izzo is one of those guys, it's a household name. But then you also have the likes of like Scott Drew, who I've seen pop up in the Carolina coaching discussion. It's like, yes, he broke through and he won a national championship at Baylor, but have you noticed what they've been doing since?
I mean, look, I think right now the guy you would put up there as, well, why can't he do it? Might be Todd Golden, right? I know he was a coach at San Francisco before Florida, but he was only coaching at a power level for what, 3 years before he got his. And man, I think those circumstances were so extraordinary.
Right. It's hard to win a national championship. And sometimes guys win early and then you never really hear from them again.
Right.
Or it's won early, but then they're chasing it forever after that, like a Tom Izzo, right? But in 4 seasons,
hey, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but hey, Billy Donovan to a certain extent.
I mean, he won 2 back to back. Come on now.
Yeah, it's not like he went to the NBA coming off of those 2.
No, you're right. You're right. But in 4 seasons at Duke, in the context of replacing K, he has delivered everything but a national championship. Okay. They've managed something at Duke, transitioning from a Hall of Fame era of Coach K that other programs have never managed to recover from after losing their Hall of Fame era coach, right? So like, I'll just repeat myself. He has done everything asked of him at Duke outside of winning a national championship in the first 4 years. So I hate to say this about Jon Scheyer, but in 4 short years, he has become the best coach without a title. Somebody has to have that label.
Somebody has to have that label.
Somebody has to have the label of the best coach without a title in college basketball. And unfortunately for Scheyer, he is that coach now. He is the coach who you look at and go, dude, how have you not won a title yet? And it's only been 4 years.
Yeah.
It took Bill Self dealt with this. Bill Self had monumental early exits from the NCAA tournament before he finally won a national championship. Okay. That takes years to build that up. John's done it in 4. Yeah. So congrats, I guess. But you are now that guy. John is now that guy.
I guess Self is a really good comparison here because to a certain extent, while I agree with you, like it's hard to think about who the alternative is, right?
Nope.
While I agree with you, I look at Self's struggle at Kansas before they finally broke through against Memphis that year. Boy, they just like Scheyer, they were handed like the gold standard of college basketball at the time. So I'm not saying that Scheyer has not done a good job, or that means like Scheyer, oh, let's go all the way to the other end, or that means specifically Scheyer has done a terrible job. But, you know, it's not like we were asking him to do this at Wake. Yeah. It's not like we were asking him to do this at State. Yeah. Like he got handed, even more so than Self did, the epitome of college basketball. And that he hasn't got it yet, I get it. It's the only thing he hasn't got. But that he hasn't gotten it yet in that context, that is a disappointment.
It's a disappointment. I'm not going to disagree with that. Which gets us to tonight, where you have Hurley.
Yeah.
UConn getting to 3 championship games the last 4 years. Yeah. I think UConn as a program is 13-1 in Final Four games. Okay. Yeah. Like, we can debate all day about blue bloods. If UConn doesn't want to be, if people don't want to accept UConn in the blue blood status, they can just go, yeah, guys, scoreboard though.
You're right.
Has your program done what we've done?
Right.
13-1 in Final Four games?
Yeah.
Basically, what it's going to come down to for Hurley, if they pull it off tonight.
Danny Hurley looks like Smeagol after a visit to the salon, right?
What's fascinating about Hurley to me is that all the things that people claim they hate about Duke, it's literally happening right now.
1,000%. 1,000%.
So why does
UConn, even more so?
Can you imagine Coach K headbunting Roger Ayers?
Listen, shout out to the Giglio family, but with all due respect to LSU, UConn has the most hateable coaches right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a fair point. But like, can you imagine Coach K doing to Roger Ayers what Hurley did in the Elite Eight?
No.
Like, come on now. So, like, I'm really confused as to why UConn doesn't get that label.
Yeah.
And I guess old habits die hard. I mean, I get all that kind of stuff. And maybe UConn just isn't there enough.
Hey, man, when you are literally next door to the most powerful voice in sports media, you get some favors done for you.
Yeah, that might come up a little bit later on. So I will say this about Hurley, though. If they pull this off, Hurley can elevate himself into a new classification.
Oh, for sure.
He is the best tournament coach to have ever done it.
Yeah, agreed.
Tournament coach. We can talk about regular season success and consistencies and all these other kinds of things. But, like, if Giglio were here, we have a new game to play. I don't care about anybody's back. Like, I don't care. You need to win over 3 weeks. Who you picking as your coach?
Yeah.
Hurley becomes the guy where you go,
it's
I don't know,
hard not
man.
to.
I don't know. There's just something about his teams and the way they play, and there's a toughness to them that they're not going away. And as much as Michigan has looked like a juggernaut,
yeah,
I'm not just going to say, all right, that was your de facto national championship.
I have a buddy at ESPN. Like, the people don't know him. You know him, Joe. Who is convinced that the Knicks hired Mike Brown so that they could underachieve and then go hire Danny Hurley after he wins his 3rd national championship.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
We've got the OG birthday bash taking place on May 2nd, a.k.a. the Jonathan Rand pregame wedding extravaganza at Shady's in Garner. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer for that. Again, that'll be on May 2nd. It's going to be happening at Shady's in Garner starting at noon. And, of course, we don't do this without our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. You will get the debut of OG Lime.
Oh, my.
We've approved the can artwork. We're going to rebrand OG Lights can artwork as well. I'm supposed to visit Whit over at Bond this week to do a test batch of OG Lime, see how that goes. And all that stuff should be available relatively soon, but we'll have it in kegs at Shady's for the birthday bash on May 2nd. Speaking of OG Light, you can find it over at P Street here in downtown Raleigh. I want to say Beer Study probably has it too. I know you can get it at Longleaf Swine. So drop on by Longleaf Swine, longleafswine.com. They've got their new spot over in the Greystone Shopping Plaza area. You can actually order ahead for the weekend and take stuff to bring home and heat up. All that stuff is there, so go check them out. You can also get OG Light at the airport, Terminal 2.
That's right.
They got two taps at Terminal 2.
I'm flying to Memphis on Friday. I would imagine after I get through TSA at 7 a.m. It'll be time to relax.
You can drink starting at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
at Terminal 2.
Yeah, I'm not being silly. I'm being very honest.
Let's do it. Let's absolutely do it. So go check that out, longleafswine.com. Other bit of housekeeping notes. We are reopening the pop-up shop.
Oh,
limited time run on a few items. It's not the pop-up shop's not completed yet. It should be later today. I just want to get it on people's radar. Go to ogtrianglemediashop.com. Again, that's ogtrianglemediashop.com. It'll take you to our pop-up shop. We are bringing back the Drunk OG in Cover Colors tees, the tank tops, and we got the 3 Towers back.
Oh, very good.
So you can get that in a tank top. You can also get that in a Comfort Colors tee. I think we're going to come out with a cheaper version too. We're also, because I've been inspired by being in the U.S. Virgin Islands for a week, sun shirts and sun hoodies. UPF 50s, baby.
Yeah, I just took my son over to Dick's to get new basketball shoes before his game this week. And I found myself, while he was trying on various shoes, gravitating towards the PSF hoodies. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So we're putting the 3 Tower logo, the Ovies and Giglio podcast logo with the 3 bell towers on the back and the Dead Conference logo on the front. We're putting those in appropriately colored sun shirts and hoodies. Again, this is all at ogtrianglemediashop.com. These are just the rough versions of them right now. I think we're going to add a navy blue one to go Duke. And also it's going to say, because you got to have the island vibe, it says positive vibes only on the sleeve.
Oh, sure.
Got to have that.
Sure.
Right? Also, very important, another reason, and really the main reason why we reopened the pop-up shop with our friends at Pay 6. We have back stock of our hoodies. So here's what we're going to do. We cannot buy them back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in our budget. But you can buy them at cost.
Oh.
So you see that $45? That's what the hoodie costs. That's at cost.
Okay.
All you got to do is pay shipping. So head on over to ogtrianglemediashop.com. There's limited sizing, and it could run out because this is stuff that's already in stock. They're not making new hoodies.
Yeah.
If they have it, they have the style you want in a large, and you want to get one of our hoodies for $45. Now's the time to do it. It's a clearance sale at ogtrianglemediashop.com. Plus, we got some new hats coming out eventually as well. On Wednesday, we're going to be broadcasting live from our friends at Bailey's Fine Jewelry. We're going to be in the Fox and Bailey watch shop, and we're going to discuss watches.
Oh, listen, before we move off of the swag shop, I do have to let everybody know they got big boy sizes available in those hoodies.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Just so go, again, it's at cost. We're just trying to get rid of them. In the meantime, come visit us on Wednesday, 2:00. We're going to be at Bailey's Fine Jewelry in the Village District at Fox and Bailey, talking watches and sports and things like that. Should be a good time. And you can find out more at baileybox.com. With Fox and Bailey, it's just a vibe, man. It's going to be fun to do the show from there. They got very hard to get vinyl. They have an incredible vintage watch selection. And as I experience, if they don't have what you're looking for there, they can find ways to get it. So
they will rob someone.
No.
Oh, okay.
Go to baileybox.com to find out more. And we'll see you Wednesday at Fox and Bailey Watch Shop. Big thanks to our friend Matt Davis over at State Farm. And SureGarner.com is the website. Call him directly at 919-779-8277. With the way things are going right now, everything's really, really expensive. And you're trying to find ways
and
to
shitty
save,
and terrible.
And you're trying to find ways to save money. When's the last time you thought about your home and auto insurance? You could save some serious cash that you can do something simple with, like, I don't know, buy groceries that week with our friends at State Farm. SureGarner.com. Matt Davis is going to take care of you. 919-779-8277. Big thanks to our folks at Roback as well. Check them out online at roback.com. They're dropping new stuff all the time on the website. If you've been holding off on buying something, check it out right now. OG20 is the promo code. You'll save 20% off with our friends at Roback. Again, that's roback.com. They've come out with some new color block hoodies. They got new spring and summery patterns on their polos.
Yep.
All good stuff.
I saw the block hoodies. The block hoodies. I know UNC and State both are represented.
It's good stuff. So
UNC one looks good. I don't even like UNC.
I mean, honestly, that's what they should use for the next coach. Like, yo, you can look good in this hoodie.
Yeah, for sure.
Just saying. So go to roback.com, use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, he is in Arizona right now after witnessing, I think what you called this, did you not, Mitch Northam, women's basketball podcast, which you can watch on this YouTube channel and USA Today. You called the UCLA thing back at the bracket night, right?
I did. Yeah, my bracket on OG Light Bracket Night. Yeah, I had UCLA over South Carolina in the title game, so that worked out. But it's funny, on Friday night when we did a video at USA Today where we kind of like remade our picks, and I just thought South Carolina was playing better than UCLA, and I thought Dawn was going to kind of coach circles around Corey Close in the title game, and that did not happen.
Man, I texted you this during the game. This is the second year in a row that Dawn and USC have put on an absolute show in the semifinal and had nothing left in the tank for the national championship game.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. I think they really did empty the tank against UConn, and just an absolute clinic. Played UConn better than anyone else, only team to beat UConn this year. And then in the title game, like they just didn't have whatever it is that they needed. They shot a season worst from the floor. They turned the ball over 14 times. They only hit 2 or 3-pointers. Raven Johnson and Tanaya Latson kind of disappeared. They combined for like 7 points. And then, UCLA's got a 6'7" center and South Carolina does not. And UCLA's got shooters everywhere and South Carolina does not. And so I think UCLA just wanted it more at the end of the day.
It's funny. There's a series in the first quarter that actually almost mirrors exactly how Michigan got here on the men's side, where South Carolina had like 3 offensive rebounds on a single possession and didn't come away with points. Like, I mean, that was just so reminiscent of Michigan beating Alabama in the Sweet 16, where Alabama would have these stretches where they would get every single offensive rebound and come away with nothing.
Yeah, they kept missing those bunnies. They crashed the boards well. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like UCLA's defense was just really solid. And like that was a team of like entirely seniors, like each of their starters, and then their best scorer off the bench, all seniors, all eligibility exhausted. And I think they just wanted it more than South Carolina did, where South Carolina, it was like, yeah, this is the end for Raven Johnson, but like the rest of the team, you know, they're still going to have another shot at this. And like I said, I think they just kind of emptied the tank against UConn.
But also, wasn't this UCLA all year? I mean, is this not a case where it's not a case where like the best team from the whole season goes on and wins the tournament, because that's what happens sometimes.
So I thought it was. I mean, I was making the argument on our podcast that we do with Mia O'Brien that UCLA should have been the number 1 seed in the tournament over UConn, even though UCLA had 1 loss all season to Texas on a neutral court in November. UCLA went undefeated in the Big Ten, which is so much better than the Big East that UConn plays in. I mean, they absolutely ran the table in the Big Ten. They beat Iowa in the Big Ten title game by like 40 points. And they had, I think, 10 more quad 1 wins than UConn. So yeah, I mean, for me, like I'm not surprised at the ultimate result. I think I was a little bit surprised at how lopsided the score was, because I just thought South Carolina was going to be more up for that game. They'll have some retooling to do this offseason. I mean, UCLA is going to have a complete rebuild. So, you know, good for them to kind of get this title, because I don't think they're going to be back in the mix at all next year.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to get at. What was the stat that they flashed on the screen? Like all the seniors scored all the points down the stretch or something like that?
Yeah. So yeah, all 5 of their starters and their best scorer off the bench, they're all seniors. You know, we're not going to have any eligibility lawsuits. They're all done. So UCLA, like I don't think they're going to be back here next year. They'll get some players in the portal and stuff, but it's not going to be as good as this team. Whereas like South Carolina, I'm more confident that they'll keep the war machine rolling, and we'll probably see them in Columbus, Ohio next year.
So as soon as Dawn goes to the podium after the game, I mean, one of the first 3 or 4 questions she's asked is not about the game at all. It is about Geno Auriema and the interaction they had in the Final Four game.
Oh, man.
And look, kudos to Dawn for saying that, just being real blunt. Like, haven't heard from Geno, but that's the last thing I'm going to say about this. We're not going to damper UCLA's celebration here. All right, but Dawn Staley is not here. So, Mitch, let's talk about what a bitch Geno Auriema is. I thought that as egregious as...
Well, first, before we even start, you just mentioned, was there a call or not between Geno Auriema and Dawn Staley? I mean, because you got Lobo on ESPN saying, oh, yeah, well, you know,
I know for a fact were her exact words.
I know for a fact that Geno reached out to Dawn. Dawn's like, haven't heard from him. So, Mitch, let's get that out of the way
let's
first.
Start there.
Has good communication or not?
I think it depends on what your definition of reached out is. I think we would assume that one national championship winning head coach to another, there would have been a phone call.
Right.
At least a text like, hey, my bad.
Now, Dawn says there was not a phone call. I have not heard from Geno, but she also said something to the effect of like, I have 800 unread text messages. Geno might be in there somewhere.
Okay.
But like,
given
the incident, you would think if he wanted to actually give a sincere apology, which he is really not interested in doing, he would have called her.
Well, okay, so I'm glad, Joe, you brought up Rebecca Lobo saying, I know for a fact reached out, because this goes to the video clip that was going around of Holly Rowe on what's the alternate broadcast, Mitch, they do? I can never remember who.
So this year it was not Burden Tarasi. It was like this courtside thing that like Stud Buds was a part of, and
right. Okay, so this was from last year, right? The clip was from last year's game or last year during the Final Four that went around of Holly Rowe saying that no, actually, Geno is a genius when he does stuff like this to take the focus off of his team's struggles and make the story about him. Man, Joe, you and I have talked so much about me just like completely dismissing the notion that ESPN holds any grudge towards the Hurricanes for formerly being the Hartford Whalers.
Yes.
You want evidence of ESPN's bias? Man, they were so eager to do PR for Geno Auriema over the last 3 days.
I mean, Geno in women's basketball, UConn has been a big brand for them.
It is
the entire time.
They invested in all college basketball, not just women's, like all college basketball earlier than anybody. And you've got to think taking the women's games early on was a burden, if not for those UConn teams. So, of course, they are going to do cover for Geno.
Because you got to remember, if it wasn't Pat Summitt, the conversation around women's college basketball before Caitlin Clark really took things supernova, it was UConn.
Sure. It all started with that UConn Tennessee rivalry and Pat and Geno agreeing to play each other in non-conference every year in the 90s and 2000s, and then Notre Dame gets involved and Stanford gets involved, and it kind of rolls from there. But it is interesting to me that ESPN kind of still, for the most part, will cape up for Geno, even though they don't have UConn games. Like they're not a right holder for the Big East anymore.
Sure.
So they don't get Geno and UConn unless it's a non-con or in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I mean, Geno at best on Friday night looked like a sore loser and a liar. And I mean, just completely gaslit me and Chapel Fowler in the press conference. And had his tirade with Holly Rowe, had the confrontation with Dawn, and it was quite the mess.
Could you tell us what was going through your head? For people that don't know, Mitch is the one that asked Geno directly, yes. Hey, you say that someone ripped Sarah's jersey, but the video evidence shows she did that herself.
She did it herself.
And Geno gives him this look like, well, so says you. I mean, take me through your mind in that, Mitch.
So I opened the press conference. So for people who don't know how this works, at the NCAA tournament, they let the players talk first, and then they dismiss the players, and then they let the coaches talk. So the first question, I got the mic and I asked Sarah Strong, I'm like, hey, so what happened with your jersey being ripped? Keep in mind, I've already seen the video now of her ripping her own jersey and of Joyce Edwards not really touching her at all on that play. And she said, it was a mistake, missed the shot, ripped the jersey. And I'm like, okay, so all we're right. Good. I got the story. We know what happened now. We move on. So then Geno, he starts talking later, and then one of his answers says something about well, they ripped my kid's jersey, blah, 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 blah. So then in my head, I'm like, well, wait a second now. Now I need to ask you for clarification. So that's what I got the mic back, and I was like, just to clear things up here, Sarah said this, when then he's like, well, actually, Sarah didn't say that. And I'm like, dog, I was sitting right here.
Come on, man.
And then I'm like, also, the video evidence shows this. And then he kind of gives me that face and says what he says. And then, Chappell had asked him about the whole handshake thing. And Chappell told him, well, there's photos.
There's video of this.
Shaking hands pregame. And he was like, well, you're missing my point. You don't know what you're talking about. Chappell and I were sitting next to each other, and we're just like, okay.
So all right. So what's the point? Are you that butthurt that you didn't, even though there was a handshake? Why are you still worried about that in the third quarter going into the fourth quarter when you're ranting and raving about stuff?
Listen,
and also last year, speaking of video footage, there's footage of Geno.
That is so fucking embarrassing.
Just like, hey, it's all good. We're having a good time here. Now, what's the difference between last year and this year, Mitch? What's the difference?
He caught the L this year.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now we're finding out that, yes, you're just a sore loser.
Yeah. And I don't know how many people remember last year, before that game was over last year, because UConn beat the shit out of South Carolina last year. Dawn was in tears.
Yeah.
Dawn could not believe what was happening to this team. So with that context, to then see that video again, God, what a dickhead.
He's just an asshole.
However,
but he's always been this
however,
asshole.
it should be pointed out, we all owe him a debt of gratitude, because without him being an asshole, we do not get I will beat Geno's ass.
Oh, well, that's when
someone had already printed on a t-shirt and wore to Sunday's game.
A friend of mine that works at the NPR affiliate up in Philly and I were talking about it, and I said, how does Pat's Cheesesteaks not make this like their rallying cry in the morning, before they open?
It's got to be. Right across the street. Yeah, no, we're going to beat Geno's ass. That Geno and the other Geno.
The other thing that just stood out to me on Friday night was, so after the press conference, Geno talked to like some of the local UConn beats in the hallway, and Kareem Copeland from ESPN was there and had this video of him talking. And I guess the question was something like, do you have a relationship with Dawn, like off the court, away from games and stuff? And he said, no, we don't really have a lot in common. And I'm like, you're both women's basketball coaches from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
What do you mean? She coached for you on the Olympic team. I just kind of get the impression, for whatever reason, it seems like he doesn't have a good relationship with any coach that is a woman that beats him.
Yeah.
Weird.
In the NCAA tournament.
I thought that was weird. I thought that was like crystal clear, because that was my thought too, and it had nothing to do with Dawn. It was the way Muffet McGraw reacted to the situation. Like Muffet McGraw said,
the former Notre Dame
coach, right? And Notre Dame coach when Notre Dame was a Big East opponent,
was running hot too, yeah.
Muffet McGraw said without saying, "Yeah, this is kind of who Geno is."
He's an ass. Doesn't like losing to women.
Yeah,
she hates Geno with the fury of 1,000 suns.
Yes,
yeah.
Which, by the way. That's okay.
Sure.
This is something that I think sometimes gets lost in all this. And I think what ends up happening is we'd like to think that all these coaches, while competitive, understand that, no, we're just lifting the entire sport up. No, they're competitive assholes at the end of the day, and that's fine. Yeah. Just don't feed me. We're all here kumbaya. It's okay to just openly admit, I don't like them. They don't like me. We're competitors. We'll keep it cordial on the court for game days and things like that. But don't act like we're here for the betterment of the sport. We're here to win for ourselves and our programs. And that's the end of it. And that's Geno.
Yeah. I mean, look, Geno has so much in common with Kay, right? From the standpoint of absolute legend, absolutely lifted his game above where it was before he got there. Most successful coach in the sport's history, or, in Kay's case, remembered as one of the greats ever. But you ask any of their peers, like, they don't have a whole lot of friends in the game, right? Like, I know from people that have been to some of those, like, you donate a certain amount and you get the one-on-one lunch with Roy. Roy will still privately talk about how much he hates Kay.
Oh, yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah,
that is 100%. Okay. That's perfectly fine.
Geno is definitely more of the Coach K, Nick Saban. I am great and I rule with an iron fist, and I don't care if you like me.
Yeah,
and I don't really care if my players are like a family. I just want to win kind of mold. Whereas I think Dawn is more of the Roy Williams type, where it is a family. And
I texted Mitch and Mia when the last night, as we were talking about when we were going to record this week, and I said, like, you hear Dawn's players talk about her, and they talk about how much they love her. You hear Geno's players talk about him, and they sound like they survived. And
it works. It works for Geno. It works for Dawn, just like it worked for Roy and it works for Kay. But we all knew this when Kay was up until retirement. It was not a love fest. They don't love you like that.
Right.
Like, you're not going to be the unofficial mascot for the basketball program the way that Roy Williams was in retirement and still is in retirement. Whereas Coach K is now doing weird things like going on Pat McAfee's show, which is like, talk about just poor fits, man. But
I mean, he and Saban are close. I have to imagine Nick told him that it was a good idea because Nick at least figured out how to do that.
But that's not with Kay, man.
I was about to say,
Kay immediately regretted that decision when it started.
What's that?
I said, I bet he immediately regretted that decision to agree to that interview.
I mean, geez, man. And hey, Kay, I mean, just come on down to Eford Studios, dude. Like, talk to some dudes that actually know what they're talking about when it comes to college basketball.
But listen, are you part of WrestleMania this year?
No,
you're not.
I'm not part of WrestleMania. And again, you always like to say, Dimitri, it's all wrestling at the end of the day. And that's exactly what Geno is doing. And we'll wrap on this, Mitch, because this gets back to Geno's MO and being smart about how to play the media and play these games and get things away from what it should be on, right? Because remember, the whole 54 games in a row, going, being the overall number 1 seed, Geno went out of his way to make this season about who? Not him, his players, right? It's all about the players. We're going to focus on the players. This is what it's all about. This is their moment. Except that when you're getting crushed, suddenly, if it's still about the players, speaking of Roy Williams, well, this is smart though. Roy did this all the time. Sure. Mike Krzyzewski would do this all the time. Good coaches, Hall of Fame coaches know when to do this. All right, rather than crushing my players, crush me. Sure. I will be more than happy to get crushed. On top of all the other things that are also true, but the theme of today's program is multiple things can be true at once.
Right.
He can be a gaslighting asshole who hates losing to women, okay? But at the same time, doing the classic coach trope of, all right, make this about me, not them.
For sure. You're right. But to that point, we can call that out for what it is and not have ESPN doing PR for it.
I think what kind of got the ball rolling was I think he misinterpreted. I don't think he saw what actually happened with Sarah Strong's jersey and just saw his player walking over into the huddle with a ripped jersey. And then he absolutely lost his shit on Holly Rowe during that sideline interview. Saw the game was still going in that direction in the fourth quarter. And then had whatever happened with Dawn and then just decided like, all right, well, I'm just going to make this about me and to take it off. Because quite frankly, if he did not do all that, we wouldn't have to be talking about him. We would be talking about how bad Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd both played in that game.
Yep.
Because it was not good. And, kind of a continuation of poor performances in the NCAA tournament for AZ Fudd, who's about to go into the NCAA draft, WNBA draft. And Sarah Strong, National Player of the Year, kind of coming up short in the biggest game of the year.
Mitch Northam, women's basketball podcast, which you can watch on this YouTube channel, USA Today. Hey, Mitch, we appreciate the time. As always, safe travels back from Arizona. We will talk to you later.
All right. Deuces.
We are forever grateful for our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. Oh, did you think After Dark season was over because the college basketball season's coming to a close tonight? Oh, no. We've got Canes playoff
brother.
After Darks to hit, ladies and gentlemen.
Cacao!
I don't know. Well, that's not what the owl does.
No.
The owl hoots.
Okay. I have one outside my window. I found out over and over again last night.
So hit up Bloomin' Blinds. They bring you the After Darks, 919-980-9815. It's time to start getting your patio spring and summer ready. And they've got some solutions for you. Maybe your house is situated that sunset make it really, really difficult to enjoy yourself.
Yes.
They can make that work for you. Or maybe you're a sit outside and sip on some coffee, but that sunrise is right in your face. Again, they can help you out. So hit them up, bloominblinds.com, 919-980-9815. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. Maybe you just bought a house, or maybe you're getting ready to sell a house. Bloomin' Blinds can help you get everything set up and look really good to sell a house, or just update what you just bought. But if you're just looking for, like, all right, a lay of the land, where do things stand right now? Why has this house been on the market for like a year? What's going on here, right? Are the interest rates crazy? All those things. Hometown Realty, they're gonna walk you through it. myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Speaking of interest rates, cut through the confusion, get a real answer, not some discombobulated headlines. Talk to Gordon at Miller Lending, 919-447-3377, millerlending.com. You might find yourself in a situation where you're looking to consolidate debt. As high as the rates are right now, they're lower than your credit card rate.
Right.
Okay. I can guarantee you they're lower than your credit card rate, unless you got an incredibly baller credit card rate that you locked in back in 1995. I have no idea. Regardless, you can consolidate debt. And then when the rates eventually do come down, you have not locked yourself in with some sort of I'm going to pay closing costs. I'm going to get a slightly lower rate. No, it doesn't work that way. Contact our friends at Miller Lending. They're going to put you in the right financial situation. MillerLending.com, 919-447-3377. And when you take that thing to close, you'll get a gift basket from our friends at the Butcher's Market. In the meantime, go hit up the Butcher's Market. It is spring. If you can power through the pollen, we got the worst stuff coming off, though. It's not the fine yellow stuff.
Yeah.
It's that gunky.
We're in green season.
Yeah, dude, it's brutal out there. But if you can just polish off the grill, let's get going. The weather's perfect for it. So thebutchersmarkets.com, check them out online. Better yet, go to any number of their locations, including our friends in Wilmington, and you will be absolutely floored by their selection. It goes well beyond what you might think. They've got prepared meals, they got sides, they got everything you need to grill. It's all at thebutchersmarkets.com. I mentioned the Canes. They wrap up their home regular season slate tomorrow against Boston. And I believe, if I read correctly, they're just 1 point away from clinching the Metro. So that is going to happen. Again, we'll have the after darks for the playoffs. But with all of this kind of happening with the Canes, there's really two conversations. Actually, I take that back. There's three conversations taking place around the Carolina Hurricanes right now. The first one is goaltending. Is it good enough? ... That is a conversation.
Feels like a familiar conversation.
I know. Wash, rinse, repeat. You just want to dust off some shows from last year?
Sure.
So is the goaltending good enough? ... To be determined.
Yeah.
We will see what happens in the playoffs. There's real no sense of talking about it now because that gets to talking point number 2. Nobody get hurt.
Oh, brother.
You got your ass kicked by Ottawa yesterday? Don't care. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, Seth, awesome goal. Great celebration. Buddy, your shoulder.
I was about to say, stop that.
Hey. Could have landed awkward.
Right. Right. Everyone had fun. Knock that shit off.
Knock it off. Okay? Healthy. Playoffs. End of discussion. Which gets us to discussion point number 3. Where the hell are we watching the Carolina Hurricanes next season?
Well, you know what, Joe? Let's just enjoy this season and cross that bridge when we get to it.
No, people really want to know where the hell are they playing? Where the hell am I going to watch the Canes next season?
Yeah.
So the context here is that the parent company of FanDuel Sports Network is shutting down next month or at the end of this month because it coincides with Canes having their first round playoff series being on the regional sports network. After that, it graduates to the ESPN TNT fold, right? So once the playoffs are done, FanDuel is no more for the Carolina Hurricanes. What are the options? Well, before I took off for vacation, we went over to Lenovo Center to talk to Canes CEO, Brian Fork, on a number of things. One of the last questions I had for him was related to television and this was before I knew the official ending of FanDuel Sports Network. And here's the exchange with Brian Fork, because I think it's important for context of this conversation. In terms of the business side of the Carolina Hurricanes is television. It's kind of uncertain right now. So what are the Canes doing in terms of kind of future planning or in communication with Gary Bettman and the NHL in terms of that uncertainty for television and where people can watch games in the future?
We at the Carolina Hurricanes are studying all the options, and the NHL is studying all the options, and we are in communication with other teams. What are you guys looking at? What are your options? We are in communications with teams in other leagues to see what their plans are. I mean, we really just don't know what the lay of the land looks like next year, or certainly not 4 years or 5 years from now, as you guys know very well, as the media landscape changes. So what is the best path forward is something that we're studying right now and talking to different providers and options out there for carrying the games and seeing what packages are available.
Is there an appetite to go on your own?
Certainly one of the things that we're looking at.
Okay. There's also some friction there, too. You could outsource it, which takes stuff off your plate. Or if you're going to go in-house, you have to build out your own media arm, for lack of a better term. Not that you don't have those pieces as they are now, but that's another kind of investment that you have not done before.
And luckily, we have models around the league and the other leagues of teams that have already done a variety of things like this in the last several years. So we can talk to those teams, look at what's been successful, look at what hasn't been successful. But the technology, the options all continue to evolve.
I would say pay attention to Braves vision. And I don't mean that's where I'm saying the Canes will end up.
Well, for those who are unfamiliar with Braves vision, what is Braves vision?
Yeah, thank you. Braves vision is the Braves proprietary platform.
Mm-hmm.
Network in some places, streaming platform in others, but the Atlanta Braves own it, and it is where you go for Braves games.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that it runs.
Yes.
The reason I'm saying pay attention to Braves vision is not that that's where I think the Canes are going to go, nor do I have any insight on it being the model. But what you should pay attention to is, Joe, when did Braves vision get announced? 2 weeks before the baseball season started.
Yes.
You're not going to get an answer quickly.
We're not. One thing about Braves vision, when it was initially announced, they had, it was reported that they had also kicked around the idea of bringing on other teams to supplement this.
Basically just recreating the old Sports South.
With the exception of 2 teams. You notice who was in the mix. The Hawks.
Yeah.
All right, cool. The Grizzlies. All right.
Yep.
The Predators. Interesting. Well, in the old Fox Sports South days, Fox Sports Carolina's the subset of it, but the old Fox Sports South days, you know who else was included in?
It was the Hornets.
The Hornets and the Canes.
The Canes, yep.
Why are the Canes and the Hornets not included in this? Well, I think that gets to the other part of the conversation we had with Brian Fork. Baseball. Do you think the Braves want to help the Canes and their owner, Tom Dundon?
No.
In the meantime, while he's been poking around for baseball?
Yeah, so
the answer to that is absolutely fucking not.
I think I've said this on this show. Certainly I've said this in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with people at Major League Baseball's media arm talking about expansion. And they have said in no uncertain terms, the Braves have said, we will oppose a team in Charlotte.
Yes.
We do not have a problem with the team in Raleigh.
So I think they're waiting that out.
But to your point, Joe, it doesn't mean we want to help Raleigh get a team.
Exactly. So that is something that factors in because business-wise, it would make a hell of a lot of sense to recreate a Fox Sports South through the app.
Of course.
Because you remember, the Fox Sports South was held up. The thing that kept that network together was the Braves.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this could work.
Wait, you mean it wasn't the best damn sports show, period?
No. So,
period, Joe.
Tom Dundon's interest in baseball factors in my belief, this is my own speculation, factors in as to why the Hornets and the Canes are not included in future Braves vision planning.
So one thing you and I have heard, and when I say have heard, I mean from fans speculating, not we have heard this is what is happening. One thing you and I have heard is that, well, the holdup is obviously, or the reason they're not involved in Sports South is obviously Capital Broadcasting and WRAL are going to make a deal for the Canes.
Also, no.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where we get into what I think is going to happen and what is speculated to happen. What I think is going to happen is that the Canes, I think ideally the Canes are hoping the NHL does something similar to what Major League Baseball is doing. You got to remember,
which is just sell the thing to ESPN and let ESPN take care of it.
There's a lot of history with Gary Bettman and Baseball Advanced Media. You got to remember that the NHL Network and a lot of the infrastructure around the NHL Network was based on Major League Baseball.
Right.
And BAMTech, which eventually got sold to Disney, was the backbone for a lot of streaming initiatives for Major League Baseball and the NHL. So I do think that Gary takes a lot of cues from what baseball is doing. And what you're just referencing is something that outside of some of the big market teams like the Yankees, like the Dodgers, most of, if not all, Major League Baseball stuff is available through ESPN now.
Yep.
That's how you get your regional stuff now, through ESPN, because like the blackout rules have changed and everything else. I can envision a scenario where the majority of the NHL teams pool their rights together and they go through ESPN, which has every incentive in the world to add things to the ESPN Plus app.
And I think the NHL could get even more for it than Major League Baseball did, because outside of Toronto, I don't know that the NHL has a Yankees. Nope. I don't know that the NHL has a Dodgers.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that makes the most amount of sense. Let's say the Canes were to go on their own. There's any number of examples that exist. Chicago has their own in-house app.
Yep.
Monumental Sports with DC. That's how you get Capitals games. That's how you get Wizards games, etc. I think Mystics are on that network.
I think they have a lacrosse team on there.
I think so too, right? So that's their own direct-to-consumer, buy the app, pay the monthly fee, whatever. Could the Canes theoretically do that? Like, let's say, like hypothetically speaking, the Canes say, "Hey, Hornets, you guys want to go on this together?"
Yeah,
and we can also include Charlotte FC. Although I think they're off the books because of the whole Apple
thing. Yeah,
so take that out of the equation. You could try to supplement it the best way you can with. Because the NBA is also dealing with this, and the Hornets also are dealing with this because of Fox Sports.
Well, hell,
because of FanDuel.
Get the courage, get the aforementioned lacrosse.
Yeah. So maybe you could put something there. The problem with that is if you look at most of these teams that have their own apps that they run, they don't make any money.
Yeah.
They're lucky to break even.
Yeah.
In most cases.
They're also in big markets that are passionate beyond just the market, right?
Which gets us to the capital broadcasting of it all, right? And I know this past weekend they did another
Saturday night,
home for the holidays things, but for Easter.
Put a pin in that. Let's talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we will talk because I think they're tied together actually. So because the Canes have been simulcasting some games over the air on WRL, something like that.
Yeah.
There's this idea that, well, why don't they just broadcast all their games on WRAL? We see the problem with that is if you don't think you can make money on your own, what makes you think that you're going to make money in that situation? Because it also has to come down with two competing entities that don't want to spend their own money.
Right.
Okay, that's the biggest problem.
Right.
Tom Dundon didn't get to be this level of a billionaire by spending his own money. He's going to look at this as a way to make money. RAL is not going to do this at the level that is required to do it.
Right.
That would also make them money. So you see where we have competing problems of we want to do it, but we also don't want to be hooked with the bill.
Were you in transit on Saturday night? Did you see any of that game on WRL?
No, I did not.
Okay. We have a standing rule in my house.
But real clear that we're real clear here.
Sure.
The game is just a simulcast of FanDuel.
Right.
So.
Yes, it is. It is all FanDuel graphics.
Yep.
It is Mike and Trip. It is straight from FanDuel. We have a standing rule in my house during the NCAA tournament that 1 minute of Bruce Pearl is 1 minute too many. So whenever we go to studio show, we go to something else. So my son and I were watching the Canes on WRAL. Joe, if I were the Canes and I was not somebody that had to be locked in the arena and I could watch the way WRAL treated my game, I would not want to be on WRAL.
Why is that?
It is so obvious that 10 years after switching from CBS to NBC, WRAL still does not know what to do with themselves when they don't have the NCAA tournament. They have been running this ad.
Okay. I have not seen it.
Okay.
So.
They've been running this ad.
You're going to have to tell me. I have not seen it.
They've been running this ad that is about like, hey, WRAL, like we're in the community. And we've always been in the community. And so it is just a bunch of highlights of big local stories that WRAL was there to cover.
Oh, this is okay. I know what you're referencing because I saw it during the football season. And this, to me, my theory is this is a direct response to rumors that we've discussed on OG Business that RAL is somehow up for sale.
Oh, maybe.
So I do think that the whole we are local, we're going to be local.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada is tied directly to rumors that they're going to sell and the fact that your competitors are not local.
Yeah,
they have not been locally owned in a very long time.
I think you're overthinking it.
Okay.
I think it is a matter of the only people that are watching your newscast and care where you are going to get good feelings by seeing all these things they remember from when they were in their prime years.
I mean, the ratings back that up.
But
the ratings demographics back that up.
Yeah, of course.
Like local television is being watched by old
by the way,
people.
that's not a WRL criticism.
No,
that is me
that's
being
just TV.
very blunt about the TV
That's
industry.
the TV industry right now, man.
I noticed when they get to the sports section, there are a lot of basketball highlights before we even get to anything from the Canes Championship parade.
Okay.
It strikes me as not a coincidence that was running like every other commercial break right now. Right now.
With the Final Four going on.
Well,
I mean, I think part of the issue, it's funny that they're trying to make basketball this thing because they've actually, and this started to happen even before we got fired. There was a diminishing of basketball.
Absolutely.
An absolute diminishing of basketball.
I mean, hell, when we were working together, there was not to the point of we're not even sending anybody, but there was no, we don't need someone everywhere.
No. And a lot of that also had to do that. There's actually a direct point in which that started. And that is when the Duke UNC game, the first one, the first Duke UNC game went exclusive to ESPN as part of the new television arrangement with the ACC.
Yeah.
You'll remember years ago, it was a competing broadcast game.
Right.
You had an ESPN broadcast for the national audience, and then it was on locally because of Raycom.
Right.
And I know this because I've seen the numbers. The local broadcast through Raycom crushed any number on ESPN. And it also was beneficial to Capital Broadcasting because that game in February, there's always February. What happens in February in TV, Dimitri?
Isn't that sweeps?
That is sweeps.
Yeah.
So having that Duke Carolina game early in February during sweeps period that helped set the rates for advertising the rest of the year was huge.
Yeah.
Okay. And once they lost the game because they could, we were the home for it, there was starting to be a diminishing return on basketball and things like that. So it is interesting that, and also you got to remember too, in the NCAA tournament, with the advent of sub channels, you could watch all the NCAA tournament games through the sub channels.
That's right.
If you had Time Warner Cable back in the day, RAL had the special sub channels, like 3 or 4 of them. So you could just watch whatever game you wanted.
Yeah.
With the separation of the TV deals that are through Turner and CBS, they get spaced out a little bit more. So you're not getting as much action at the same time. And they're staggering them so that you have an opportunity to watch some game here. And then eventually you'll go over to True TV. Then maybe you'll go to TBS. And then maybe you'll go back to CBS, that kind of stuff. But back in the day, dude, it was amazing. Because if you had Time Warner Cable or you had an HD antenna, you could just be like, oh, I got 3 games going on right now.
Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop. I can watch what I want. So all that stuff has gone away. And to your point, I guess what you're getting at is how do you struggle? You've kind of struggled to, how do you put your arms around this property that you don't really have anymore?
Right. I mean, I would be.
And it's clearly crucial to the audience because, again, this is another thing where I'll make it about the podcast, about the diminished returns of basketball. I can tell you based on our own numbers that basketball still matters.
Oh, 1,000%.
Okay. In the 3 years that we've been doing this, our biggest month in 3 years, every month has been March.
Yeah.
Okay. And like not even close. And now it just so happens that the first March we had NC State. Okay. The second March we had Cooper Flag and a coaching search.
Right.
And then as we discussed at the start of today's show, we had
a coaching search and a coaching search.
Something that will be a 30 for 30 in 20 years. Okay. So March. And it's a reminder that people still care about college basketball this time of the year. Whether you think the demographics here are changing or not, it still moves the needle unlike anything else.
And that gets to what I thought the second that we flipped over from the post game of game 1 to the Canes game. You cannot convince me that when WRL and the Canes were talking about the schedule, you cannot convince me WRL did not fight for this date. Because even if Duke was in the Final Four, even if Carolina or State had made some miracle run,
it was in the Final Four,
to the Final Four, there is a local population that is not born and bred here, that the Canes are what they have embraced.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
I agree with you. And that was a chance to take a little bit of that number away and remind people all of that history happened here. I think that until the day that all of this is gone, the world, I mean, WRAL's target audience is going to be the ITB crowd.
Yes.
Period.
Oh, yes.
If they don't care who else is watching. If they have 100% of Hayes Barton Baptist Church, they're nailing it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that. I would agree with you. Which gets to the final part of this, I guess, OG business within a podcast.
Sure.
And speaking of the NCAA tournament, do they know what to do when the games aren't being played?
It's extraordinarily bad this year.
We joked about the old ball before I left for vacation. And I'm watching on the Southwest hub.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you saw that, was there a part of you that thought, oh, well, at least we've hit rock bottom?
Well, with the old ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that there's no way. Even Oz the Mentalist cannot be this bad, right?
Which, by the way, does he perform anywhere? Does he just go from teams to sports broadcasts?
Like, I didn't realize Frank Caliendo actually did comedy clubs. I thought he was just like a Fox thing.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you do comedy clubs too? I guess Oz does shows somewhere. Maybe he has like a Vegas thing. I have no idea. No, but it got worse because as I'm watching on the little Southwest Hub on Saturday, there were two things that made me go, what are we doing here? Who is this for? Well, I can answer one of them. I can't answer the other one.
Okay.
The first one is you've got an all-time studio desk with the Inside the NBA guys and Magic freaking Johnson, and it ended up being Will Forte as Dr. James Naismith doing a 7 minute Capital One ad.
Yeah.
I was in awe.
Yeah.
And I get it, man. You got to pay the bills. And Capital One is spending a shit ton of money, and we are not above it. Okay. No. We bring our corporate champions in here to talk about their stuff all the time. Gordon hangs out with us to talk about all sorts of stuff while also trying to get you to refinance. I am not knocking the hustle, but it almost feels like the greatest fumble in history that you put together a 7-man desk.
Yes.
For an ad. I was in awe.
I wrote about this for Awful Announcing this week, and I don't know a better way to say it other than all of the studio segments were simultaneously too busy and vastly underproduced.
Agree.
Old Ball, and I mean, hell, the Naismith thing too. Old Ball, when they pick games with donuts, I think they call it the donut shop. Mm-hmm. It is so clear to me that the planning for that ends at it'll be funny. Right? I mean,
that has to be it.
Old Ball's a great example. The one they did, the first one they did, because apparently they did it twice.
Yeah.
The first one they did with Charles Barkley and Renee Montgomery, and the ball was on the rack. I mean, what was it other than Renee Montgomery and Charles Barkley just looking at it with a smile on their face?
Don't know.
While one punchline after another fell flat.
And then the other thing that I took away from Saturday night, I mean, the first game was good. The second game was not.
Yeah.
It was the fact that I get that you have this huge television property, but not every sport television property is the Super Bowl.
It can't be.
It can't be. The Super Bowl is the Super Bowl.
Joe,
there's only one, and maybe
to me that's the biggest thing. How many games are the Super Bowl?
One.
How many games are the Final Four? Three. Why are we trying to make this something that it's not?
And it could also be that I'm in the process of reading Klosterman's book, Football. And the first third of the book hammers home that football is unlike any other sport, and that it, through no design of their own, they stumbled into this. They created, without realizing it, the perfect television sport.
Yes.
The way that it's structured, it's perfect for commercial breaks. It only happens once a week, although that's a separate conversation you and I can have for an OG business. And it all leads up to this one singular event that is treated as a holiday that is not officially a holiday. The Super Bowl. Okay? So now all these other television properties or all these other television partners who have these sporting events, they want to make it the same thing, this big activation, right? Which gets us to Bad Bunny 2 months ago.
Right.
Which, hey man, that's the biggest artist in the world. And that's what the Super Bowl's always aiming for. Who is the biggest artist in the world?
And by the way, how far out did you know Bad Bunny was the Super Bowl?
A year in advance.
Did you know the Chainsmokers were showing up on Saturday night?
I did not.
Neither did I.
So all of a sudden we find out the Chainsmokers are doing a set in between games, which, who is this for?
Yes.
Because two things are happening. People want to watch the next game. Because, like to your point, it's one game. We're not waiting for a second half. We're waiting for the next game.
Right.
Like, let's go. This game's supposed to start at 9. Man, I'm sleepy. Let's go.
Exactly.
I need the game. But no, we got to make room for the Chainsmokers because it's an activation. And sponsors are going to be happy about this kind of stuff. Which then also gets to again, you're not the Super Bowl. I didn't know the Chainsmokers were still in the league. Getting the Chainsmokers, this is right up you and I's alley. Getting the Chainsmokers to do your event in 2026 is the equivalent in 2016, when they were at the height of their powers, of bringing out the Pussycat Dolls. Let's take it back another 10 years.
I mean, I would say the Pussycat Dolls at least give you something to look at. Like that was the other thing.
Pushing up my buttons.
The Chainsmokers just stood there.
They just did a DJ set. Yes, you're right. You know what? You're right. At least the Pussycat Dolls would have given us a show.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the whole bit. They're a show. It's a spectacle. But it's still beyond its expiration date in 2016.
Yes. Yeah, totally
which then gets us to 2006. All right? At the height of the Pussycat Dolls. That would be the equivalent of the Final Four breaking out. Ladies and gentlemen, La Bouche. Be my lover, gonna be my lover. Can you imagine that?
Okay. Now that's the one of the three I'm most excited about.
All right. Now that's 2006. Again, well beyond its expiration date.
Yeah.
Which, let's take it even a step further.
Hell yes.
Let's go back to 1996 when La Bouche was in the top 10 of your Billboard.
Yeah.
And just tearing up clubs. Inescapable in 1996. This would be the equivalent of Human League coming out in 1996 to give you such bangers like Don't You Want Me and Human.
Don't you want
Now that's a banger.
No, I agree.
Don't get me wrong. But you understand that if you trotted out Human League in 1996, people would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So the reaction to the Chainsmokers is in line with all those other examples I gave you. I get that stuff doesn't change as much as it does anymore. Like you could look at the beginning of the 80s and the end of the 80s and understand there's been a lot that's happened.
Right.
Same with the 90s. Look at 1990 versus 1999 and how much has changed. Look at 2000 versus 2009. You see how much has changed. I get that those things don't exist as much anymore because society is flattened and we're not really getting advancements in culture like we used to for a variety of different reasons. But even the Chainsmokers are old enough going, man, is Chris Martin coming out for this? Can we get a little,
The Chainsmokers are one of those groups that like I just think music is worse off because they exist. I mean,
I just illustrated the point that you can go back to any era. There's always a Chainsmokers.
For sure. But my point in saying that, or the buildup in saying that, is not just fuck the Chainsmokers.
Sure.
But fuck the Chainsmokers. It is that you made even me feel bad for them.
Ooh.
I felt awful for them because, to your point, like, dude, the people watching this with money, I'm not saying like that Capital One wants to make an impression on here. Dude, we don't want to stay up for a 10 o'clock tip-off.
No.
And the people in the arena are wondering what the fuck is going on. You can't tell me the kids they had in front of the stage for the Chainsmokers.
Yeah.
Like with the Super Bowl, you enter that contest, you win that contest, you get to run on the field.
I want to dress up as a freaking cactus. Come on.
Yeah. I am
the grass.
1000% sure those are the Final Four. Those were people paid to be there.
I believe that. I believe that.
It was like the.
Who are we gonna get in 10 years?
Ooh, 10 years from now. Is this Megan Thee Stallion? I mean, again, we get back to the same Pussycat Dolls problem.
Hold on, let me look at the current 2026 Billboard Hot 100. Let's see here.
Is this? Is this Jelly Roll?
Ooh.
Because it seems like the exact same misfire of audience.
Bruno Mars will never do it because Bruno Mars is a...
Yeah, I mean, Bruno Mars has a chance to still be doing Super Bowls.
Yeah, Taylor Swift is never doing this because, again, same thing. BTS, no way. No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. I think it's going to be Jelly Roll. I'm
looking
forward to the 2036 Final Four. We're going to be there. They're going to bring out Jelly Roll. And people will be like, oh, yeah, isn't that guy like in the news for a little bit?
I saw someone online that said he makes music for people that come over to your house and get your dog all riled up.
That's actually... That's shit, man. That's pretty accurate. Looking a lot like ice cream weather out there, if you ask me. Head on over to Two Roosters. They got locations all across the triangle. And I'm looking at their hurricane series that they just dropped for April. I'm very excited about this. They got the Stormy Tracks available everywhere now. That's got a vanilla base with Oreos, red M&Ms, and a fudge drizzle. You can get the Peanut Butter Rocky Road, which was developed with Jalen Chatfield. That's a good one. Cotton Candy Cookie Dough that Jackson Blake put together. that tracks.
That combo screams, I am 20 years old and have nothing to live for.
Yep.
Or I'm sorry, fear no death. That's a better way to say it.
Yeah. And then Chocolate Truffle, which was developed by Logan Stankoven. Yeah. It's a chocolate base with swirls of rich chocolate ganache and dark chocolate flakes.
Stank Daddy.
I like that. That's good stuff right there. But yes, I'm glad you picked up on what I was also picking up on with Jackson Blake. I'm like, oh, the baby wanted to do cotton candy. I love it.
Cotton candy and cookie dough.
Yes.
You can't tell me no anymore, Mom.
I'm going to make the ice cream I want. TwoRoosters.com. Go check them out.
Rod was so angry when he saw that. Rod was furious.
Hey, big thanks to Brassfield Accounting. You can check them out at brassfieldaccounting.com. Chris, I thought we were good with swag. Chris might actually be the swag king, dude.
Uh-oh.
He sent us a Patagonia bag.
Damn.
With a patch on it already. So I was like, and it's like water resistant. Much better than the Topo bag I have.
Well, he's in Homer, Alaska.
I know. Yeah,
it's got to be
sense.
water resistant.
So he sent us this swag bag. And I was like, all right, cool. Appreciate it. I added a few things like a Hoth National Park and a Tahoe National Park. And I added some patches to it. And that's there in Trunk Bay in the U.S. Virgin Islands. But that's Brassfield taking care of us.
Yeah.
Brassfield can take care of you as a fractional CFO. So hit them up, brassfieldaccounting.com. You might want to do tax season differently next year. Because trust me, you're getting all like, damn, I got to do, oh, no, I don't know about that. I should have done this differently. Yes, you should have. Should have contacted Chris Brassfield. So go to brassfieldaccounting.com. And of course, our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, you can check them out online at bugsbite.com. You can bundle and save with our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. And no contracts, pay as you go. Not satisfied with the service? I think you will be satisfied. Don't say you're not. Hey, you know what? No big deal. Just say, hey, we're done here. And they're moving on. Bugsbite.com is the website. Bundle and save with our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Man, I've been one long-winded SOB today. You tell I haven't done a podcast in over a week?
I figured that you would be aching to get those opinions out there.
Hey, look, all I know is vacation's always like a classic heat check.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go away for a while, which you need.
Sure.
Get out, do thing, enjoy some vacation, log off best you can. But you're also like, damn, I gotta get back from stuff that's happened. I gotta get back on the mic. Let's get back.
Listen, I was doing Panthers mock drafts for fun while I was waiting on my daughter at some college tour.
You're a sicko, bro. Sicko.
Look, man, this week.
Fair point. I'm not even thinking about the draft yet.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to an 828.
We're fucking getting into basketball. It's going to be Billy Donovan, isn't it? Fire Steve Newmark. Go Heels.
There's nothing wrong with Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan would actually be the best case scenario in all of this. And he would be the swift kick in the ass that UNC needs to modernize. Swift kick in the ass. You might only get him for 5 years.
Can I say
but
something
he'll be good for you?
Controversial?
Sure.
I'm not entirely positive if you hire Billy Donovan, I'm not entirely positive John Shire's the best coach in the triangle anymore.
I don't think that's a controversial take. One guy's won back-to-back national titles.
It's true.
One is the best coach without a title currently, as I discussed. 704.
Why are people freaking out about this UNC coaching search? These coaching candidates aren't 17, 18-year-old recruits or guys in the portal who are looking to switch jobs every year for a few more bucks. Are people really shocked that UNC couldn't get Dusty May and Tommy Lloyd? I think you guys covered only 2 coaches in history have left their program after going to, have chosen to leave their program after going to a Final Four. Frank McGuire and Roy Williams, both of whom, of course, ended up going to UNC. But Roy Williams went to UNC, coached under Dean Smith. Dean Smith calls him and asks him, hey, buddy, we need you this time. And that's why Roy comes back. So why are people surprised that UNC isn't just going out and grabbing whatever coach they want? These guys are grown men with families, with responsibilities, with stuff that's set up with successful programs, and people think that UNC should just be able to handpick them. I mean, I'm a UNC fan, and that seems unreasonable. I mean, you have to ask them, sure. But if they say no, it's people at UNC's coaching start just spiraling out of control because they couldn't get 2 guys out of the Final Four and Brad Stevens, who's told every single person no for the past however many years he's been in the NBA. I mean, if Mark Byington says no and Billy Donovan says no and Ben McCollum and Josh Schertz or whoever, if they start saying no, then yeah, you're in trouble. I mean, Michigan football had to go get 66-year-old Kyle Whittingham from Utah. I would consider Michigan a blue blood. They just won a national championship, one of the most historic programs in college football history. Why didn't they go just take Alabama's coach? Man, Michigan football really must be falling off. Let's get some perspective. All right. Love the show.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of that statement, and that's why we started the show kind of hitting on the fact that I don't think we've teetered into like panic mode or whatever it is going on with North Carolina. There's still coaches out there that you can bring on, and they'll be perfectly acceptable, perfectly good if, again, you get back to the buy-in aspect of it all.
Yeah, well, there was a time when the Carolina way was all you needed.
It's not anymore.
It's not anymore.
And I think people recognize that kind of stuff. Again, I just think that part of the issue here, too, as it relates to Carolina, is that, as I said earlier, the decaying nature of mainstream legacy sports discussion leads you to some of the worst knee-jerk reactions. Like, people used to accuse sports talk radio of being the worst place to have discussion. Y'all, it's on Instagram.
Oh, of course.
It's on Instagram.
Of course.
It's not, I mean, honestly, your traditional sports talk is tame by comparison.
Well, and the other part too is, UNC has lived a very charmed life in basketball when it comes to coaching searches. It's been a long time since you've done a real coaching search. You're waking up to the reality everybody else lives in.
All right, one more. 336.
This is just a general NCAA Final Four television question. Can someone explain to me why, for the love of God, the Final Four games are played on Saturday and Monday night when everything else is a Sunday finals broadcast? Super Bowl Sunday, CBS Selection Sunday, Sunday at the Masters. And then you have the first two rounds, which are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you get to the Final Four weekend and they shift it, which always throws me off. And then it's on Checks Notes, TBS, for the Final Four.
Oh, money.
Yeah.
Money.
Also, like, grow up, man. It's been on TBS every other year for close to 15 years now.
Yeah, this is not a new phenomenon anymore. But why is it on a Saturday, Monday? Everything is set up for the same reason why the college football national championship is on a Monday night.
Right.
It's because you want to own the night.
Right.
And there's Monday nights traditionally, again, this is old school thinking, mind you. I get that it's old school thinking, but traditionally Monday nights for things like that, you have no competition.
Yeah.
You have no competition. All right, one more, 252.
What the heck are we doing with this stupid tournament expansion? This is so dumb, man. 76 teams? Who needs that? You know who need it? The schools and the TV people that just want more money. I can say that I'm probably more right-wing than 75% of people within earshot of me right now. And I can say also, at the same time, that capitalism is messing up this wonderful sport. Whoa. It's all about TV money.
Whoa.
We do not, I know this is the trope that everybody that hates expansion says, but we do not need a 17-16 Auburn team in the tournament. Quite frankly, we didn't really even need a 19-14 NC State team in the tournament, and I'm a State fan. The regular season already means very little. Very little. I mean, Duke was the number one team in the country, and they didn't make it out of the top 8. Now, they should have played better, but their accomplishments in the regular season did not lead them to really even sniffing a national championship. My alma mater, Liberty, goes 17-3 in conference in the regular season, loses in the conference tournament, doesn't make the NCAA tournament, which is understandable, but still, their season didn't mean anything. These seasons just don't mean anything, and we're just going to make them mean even less now. It's ridiculous. And, I know some mid-major coaches, including the one at Liberty, will say, let's expand it to get more mid-majors in. And that's a great idea, but at most, 2 of these 8 teams that we're going to be adding to this tournament are going to be mid-majors. And even then, one of them at least may be one of these high-level mid-majors that you could argue might be a power team in basketball, say somebody like San Diego State or something. It's just ridiculous, and the reason they're doing it is because of the money. And I'm kind of tired of us doing everything in college sports. My favorite personal pastime, college sports. Tired of doing everything because of money. Let's do it because the competition is cool. How about that? How about that? Anyways, count me out of this. If one of you guys supports it, sell me on it. I'm open to it because I love you guys, respect your opinions. But I'm out on it right now.
Man, that's your own personal choice if you don't want to watch college basketball anymore because of what it's become. Totally get that. I know plenty of people who have found their relationship with college sports to have waned because of how things are right now. And I get it. It's very difficult, especially when it's college basketball. Like you follow these guys for 4 years.
Yeah.
You have this investment.
Well, hang on. That hasn't been true for a long time.
I get that, but it's even worse now because of the way the portal and everything else. I mean, you could just hit a reset button. It's like, whatever. Like if you're a Carolina fan, Seth Trimble might be the last guy to start and end his career at Carolina.
Yeah.
For a very long time. But here's what we'll close on this. I'm going to talk about this with Luke DeCock a little bit tomorrow because he wrote about it. You know, for all the hand wringing that takes place from calls like that or coaches who are like, oh, there's this and this and that. Back me up here. Are the ratings not up?
No, the ratings are as good as they've been in a long time.
Is the engagement around the product at an all-time high?
I mean, shit, maybe that's the answer to why are we doing old ball in the 7-minute Capital One. Is the engagement up? It is?
It is.
Okay.
All right, well, we got to keep doing things to charge people money.
Yeah.
Okay. So for all the things that people say they hate about college athletics, even we have experienced year-to-year gains on college athletics, while everybody claims, I don't like this. So something isn't really meshing here.
So I think, because I feel this way about Alabama football, is the sport itself a mess compared to what it was? Absolutely.
No. Nobody's denying that.
Is there a world where Alabama's playing football and I'm not watching though?
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
Of course not.
Oh,
like I think
so this guy's a State fan. Oh, State's on a run?
Right.
Shit, I'll watch.
Right. I don't.
Man, screw Dave Doran. Well, did they beat Carolina again? All right, let's go, Dave. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Appreciate you all watching. 5 stars only, positive vibes only. We will see you tomorrow for a very special Ovies and Friends edition of the podcast.